underneath many of the innovations we see today, from your smartphone to your favorite app to the business application that powers your department or company, is a complex mix of technologies, processes, and frameworks designed to work in unison to achieve a common goal. Every business wants to climb out of the crisis that we have been mired in since 2020. For many business leaders, the solution lies in digital led innovation. The challenge is not so much finding the next big idea, but more in bringing together the people, skills, expertise, and technologies to make it all work with minimum waste, acceptable risk, and time to market speeds that catapult you to industry innovators and disruptors. The answer may lie in environments that allow us to experiment on the possibilities without disrupting business as usual. Think of some of the greatest companies of modern history: Amazon, Google, and Facebook. These were literally born in a garage. Garage thinking is a way to accelerate innovation unrestricted by the demands of short termism, bureaucracy, and limiting silos. So, how do you turn ideas into realities is the subject of our CXO Views dialogue with Ms. Charu Mahajan, partner, IBM Garage and Corporate Ventures, and sector leader at IBM Consulting. In case you are wondering, IBM Garage is an end-to-end model for accelerating digital transformation. It helps you generate innovative ideas and equips you with the experts, practices, and technologies to rapidly turn those ideas into business value.
The concept of digital transformation has been around for decades now. Do you see a decline or increase in interest around digital transformation among businesses in Asia this year and moving forward?
Quite the contrary, Alan. I think coming out of COVID, the pace of acceleration, the degree of adoption, and the scale of digital transformation has only gone up. If anything, what we are seeing in the market is that more and more businesses are wanting to now go digital sooner, faster, cheaper, and to ensure that they have a competitive edge in the market as they emerge from COVID.
So what have we learned so far with regards to digital transformation? What has worked for enterprises in the region?
I'm glad you asked that question, Alan. What we have seen so far and in the last 10 years is that, it's what we call the seasons of transformation. Season 1 was when transformation was happening at the edges of the enterprise or the organization. It was a lot of cool people doing cool things, but the impact and the value of transformation did not stick because it wasn't endemic to the organization. The second season of transformation, where I think most companies are at today, is where the organization has begun to happen within the edges of the organization. It's functional groups trying to transform. So you see a lot of CFOs wanting to transform the finance function, supply chain officers wanting to transform supply chain. It's beginning to happen in big functions. And this is where we're seeing a lot of agile coaches, transformation experts, consulting firms come in and advise clients on how they need to make transformation stick. But that widespread change in skills, that adoption of technology which is intrinsic to the organization, which requires a change in the way organizations are structured, in the way you're making sure the transformation is not getting impeded for scale and speed, is still not happening. So when these experts will go away, we find that many organizations are reverting to their old behaviors. They go back from becoming high-speed transformed organizations to becoming organizations that work in the old ways again. We still don't have that transformation that is enterprise-wide, that is scaled, where we've broken down silos between functions. So that's what we call the second season of transformation. Truly where we come in as IBM, and also where we are seeing truly innovative or transformative companies, is where we are seeing transformation happen at the center of the enterprise. It's transformation you can see, you can feel, you can hear. It's where top-down leadership has decided that transformation must be at the core of the enterprise. It's transformation which is happening from within, where we are looking at a prioritization of initiatives, making sure the transformation is tied to value, which will truly help the organization's top line or bottom line. It's transformation which is being supported by a change in skill sets. We are not only looking at skill sets that are highly technology focused or function focused, but more O-shaped skill sets, the ability of people to work with each other collaboratively in agile ways of working. That's the kind of transformation we're seeing in the third season. Now, this transformation is happening from within, and we're making sure that this transformation is almost like a fishbowl in a large enterprise. But what's required for this transformation to stick, Alan, is that the walls of the fishbowl have to be strengthened, so as to not make old ways of working come back again, seep in again. So we need to make sure that it's governed for speed, it's governed for scale, and that we've got the right skill sets and the right ceremonies and methodologies to ensure that everybody, top down and bottom up, is making sure that there are no impediments and that value is constantly being captured in these new ways of working.
So when you consider the many priorities that organizations have to achieve the transformation, including the type of technologies they want to take with them, how does leadership carve their path to transformation, keeping in mind the risks, keeping them low, while at the same time accelerating transformation? Can you have both of these?
Yes, and this is a question which is asked quite a lot. Because when organizations want to scale and they want to transform, they want to make sure that they're doing it in a de-risked manner. Now, there are two parts to this question. The first part is, how do you prioritize what do you need to transform? And therein lies part of the puzzle where we want a lot of the top level leadership to focus on. It's what we call the initiative pipeline. When you're looking at what are the initiatives that you want to run through your organization that will help the transformation of the organization, you want to focus on those that are going to drive top value. We want to focus on those that are going to be able to drive either top line change, bottom line change, or cultural change. Now, in order to do that, top executives, senior executives must spend time along with their digital officers, with their chief supply chain officers, chief financial officers, to truly understand how do you prioritize based on value and based on time, and how do you make sure that the organization's efforts and organization's resources are aligned to the most value driving initiatives. We also need to make sure that once you decide what initiatives you want to go through, you're making sure that the organization is aligned behind you. There is nothing impeding the delivery of those initiatives. And if anything impedes the delivery of those initiatives, we want to be able to make sure that you're measuring the cost of impediments. Only then can we truly make sure that whatever you're trying to drive, transformation, has legs and will get delivered with scale and with speed. Now, the second part of your question is, how do we manage risk? And truly, the way we need to manage risk in these new ways of working is a little bit different from the way we used to manage risk maybe 10 or 20 years ago. 10 or 20 years ago, the way we would manage risk is, looking at the PMO function, looking at risk matrices, looking at, where are you going to be impeded or where you're going to fail. Given Agile and given the way that we're delivering projects in a lot more user-centric manners and using DevOps technologies, the measurement of risk and the prediction of failure has to happen closer and closer to release dates of initiatives, right? So in a manner, we have to make sure that we are measuring risk constantly. And not only are we measuring risk, we are putting value on the risk. And that risk has a cost and it has employee experience attached to it. Because if there is only going to be risk and a project or an initiative gets impeded, you know what? It also delivers bad employee experience. No employees want to work on initiatives that are constantly drowning in the organization. However, if the senior management and also the people and the right skills on the ground are able to release those impediments, release those risks, it automatically becomes an area where people want to work. They want to show up. They want to be able to drive projects because they know it's going to result in success. So the management of risk has become closer and closer to where the value is being delivered, and you almost have to measure it in tandem without waiting for it to become too big so that when it fails, it impacts everybody. No, that's not how digital transformations are being driven by successful companies. Risk is being managed at source, and companies who are doing it well are making sure that they've got the right kind of delivery excellence measures in place, and they're embracing the right agile ways of working so that they do not miss out the signals of risk and failure up ahead, not later in the system.
So in all of this, where does the IBM Garage fit in this journey that you're talking about? And when does it make sense to engage IBM? And as an organization, as a business leader or technology leader, how do I start?
Yeah, that's that's really what we're asked every day. IBM Garage for us is really how we deliver with our clients, we co-create with our clients in order to deliver value, deliver iteratively to manage risk, and make sure that we scale at speed. That's what IBM Garage is. What IBM Garage enables organizations to do is to almost create that fishbowl, like I talked about earlier, and bring that fishbowl at the heart of the organization. And we do it together with our clients. What IBM does on top of that is strengthen the walls of that fishbowl. So we bring in governance, which makes sure that we are collaboratively driving ceremonies which help prioritize initiatives, articulate business value, and throughout the project lifetime, we make sure that value is being driven where it needs to be driven while proactively managing for risk. The other bit that we do is constantly sync demand, which is the initiatives that have been selected, to supply of skills, to make sure that we are bringing in the right T-shaped skills, basically people who have an understanding of technology, have deep understanding of certain functional areas, and they work together collaboratively in what we call squads. Those squads are the heart of the fishbowl, right? So but managing those squads are these O-shaped skills, people who can work with each other in agile ways of working, both within the fishbowl and outside the fishbowl. They are literally the waterproofing. And if these people, who we call the garage team, fails, the old ways of working will come quickly seeping in, right? So these people, the garage team, comprises a few key roles. The first is the garage leader. The garage leader must keep everybody on rhythm. The garage leader has to bring together the client's leadership with these squads who are delivering, to ensure that whatever these squads are delivering to are constantly being measured in terms of value, which our clients have held us accountable for. The second big role is the value orchestrator. And the value orchestrator, to me, Alan, is now the heart of the digital transformation conversation. Remember, I talked about the first season of transformation. It's not cool people doing cool things. It's smart people making sure that the pennies that are being spent by our clients are capturing the value that they held us accountable for. The value orchestrator finds those pools of value that can truly impact a client's business and ensures the initiatives that we're driving are constantly delivering to that pool of value. And the last role is that of delivery excellence. You talked about risks. The delivery excellence person is constantly keeping a lookout for risks and is managing the initiatives in a process called VOTE, where VOTE stands for V for velocity, meaning that the way we're delivering projects is keeping to a certain velocity, both at our end and the client's end. O, outcomes are being delivered. I talked about the orchestrator. T is making sure that technical debt, anything that allows the speed of transformation to be impeded. Maybe APIs are not open, maybe databases are not available, maybe the connecting technologies are down, maybe we don't have the right kind of people. So any kind of technical or admin debt which can impede the process of transformation is taken care of, and we're putting a value on it, so that when you go back to your CEO and you say, look, I've delivered this, but it's also cost me so much of debt, there is a good conversation to be had about net value. And the last one is experience. I mean, coming out of COVID, Alan, we know that skills, and especially digital skills, are at a premium. We're all fighting a tough battle when it comes to sourcing of those skill sets. And these digital skill sets come to us there is a supply crunch. So we want to make sure that the people who are delivering these projects find themselves unencumbered. They find themselves learning. They come together as chapters where they can learn from each other. They come together as product leaders where they're creating cool products and releasing them to market faster, because that's the kind of gratification these new skill sets and people who are carrying these new skill sets are looking at. So this VOTE framework enables us to make sure that projects get de-risked. Yeah. So that's really how IBM comes and supports clients. And we're seeing, surprisingly, we're seeing a lot of clients who otherwise have been working on more traditional industries, oil and gas, petrochemicals, large banks, airlines even, turn to us, especially during COVID, and come to us and say, look, we've always done things a certain way. but we want to get started. So we'll normally start with one small initiative. And like I said in the beginning, something you can see and taste, small initiative, deliver value quickly, which we call the quick wins, and then take it to market faster through 3 phases: co-creating with the client, co-executing using these technical squads, and then once it's been proven a success and the MVP has gone to market, scaling it in a phase we call cooperating. So we go to market faster. So it's really about taking an MVP, taking it to market quicker, and making sure that more and more MVPs get to market, and that there is an economic impact being delivered at the end of every MVP. That's really the Garage methodology.